know there's a snake under there.
Well, pay attention to your hand.
Yeah, it sounds more aggressive than the last one.
That is a big ant. Oh, I need to adjust my nose plug.
What is your name?
And literally, I thought he was going in for shelter. Look at that.
Most real encounters don't start with chaos. They build through silence and warning signs people ignore. A farmhouse cleanup turns dangerous when something moves beneath dry leaves and violent scratching erupts inside the walls. Along Alaska's remote coast, fresh grizzly tracks and a dead walrus turn a quiet camp into a risk as night falls. When danger stays unseen, how do you know when it's time to leave? On January 25th, 2021, Heidi continues restoring her rural farmhouse on the YouTube channel Lil Red Heidi Hood, known for homesteading and farm life. That day, she steps into a 150-year-old wood shop in the farmhouse attic, areas untouched for decades. What should be routine work slowly turns uneasy as the aging structures respond with silence, subtle movement, and sounds that never fully explain themselves.
In the wood shop with me, you guys, this is an absolute snake den, but I'm trying to find some good pieces of wood. So I'm gonna try to find and salvage a few pieces of wood to build something here in a minute. Stay tuned and see what I can find. Oh, I just know there's a snake under there.
Well, pay attention to your hand. Oh, that's pretty. Yeah.
Look at that.
Awesome.
Really cool.
Awesome.
That would actually match that other
I
piece.
was thinking the same thing.
The way they cut it, old mill. The way that's got these lines on there. I don't see another one.
Yeah, I like those thick ones that were up under that. Pull that up and out of the way.
I'm trying. What do you think I'm doing? You think this is a Build-A-Bitch workshop? Which one am I trying to get?
Yeah, what happened to those neat ones I saw under that piece? Right behind that piece that looks like a wood. That looks like real wood.
Yeah. Oh, God. I want my death to be documented.
It's kind of a slow death when a snake bites you. I've been after Heidi for months, so let's get out here and clean out this workshop and separate the wood.
I ain't even getting paid for this.
Yeah, it'll be rewarding.
No, it won't.
That's a big bad boy.
Ooh, that's pretty. Alright, I think I'm done for a minute. Look at this piece. That is gorgeous. The knots are still intact and everything.
Yeah, I want that piece.
You kidding me? Gotta put in the work, sis.
Inside the 150-year-old wood shop, Heidi repeatedly cautions that the building is a snake den. Each step is deliberate, every loose board lifted carefully. The fear doesn't come from what is visible.
What is this supposed to be doing? Just give me some light. Where?
Right there. You might can just do that piece of cement. Oh no.
Look at all those ladybugs.
I know, that's behind the chimney. You can't get to the boards to replace them there.
But from what might be concealed beneath the floor in stacked lumber. Later, Heidi climbs into the farmhouse attic. The space is dark, narrow, and heavy with bat droppings. Sunlight filters through holes in the roof, exposing decay, age, and just how vulnerable the house truly is.
The woodshed, it got quite spidery. Saw a couple black widows. The rest of the stuff that's in there is just little rotten. So took a break, and my mom is up on the roof now.
Back in the wood shop, tension escalates when Heidi confirms the presence of black widow spiders. Simple cleanup suddenly becomes dangerous. One careless movement here could mean more than a brief scare. Near the end of the video, earlier warnings become real.
You guys, I just heard a snake slithering. I couldn't see it though, it was up under. No, I just saw it slithering up under a bunch of these leaves over here in this corner. and I heard it first, and then I saw the leaves moving, and I threw something over there and it went. So I kind of think we should go in there into that corner. Right over there, like, see where that I threw that piece right there? That's laying flat. Alright, just be quiet. I'm gonna throw something else and see if we can hear it. You hear it? It's right under there. You hear it? You can't deny that.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to find out where he is.
Well, he could be coming out this way.
Dry leaves suddenly shift. The sound is unmistakable. A snake is moving just below the surface, close, concealed, and undeniably alive.
Something's in the wall.
But I'm sure it's a squirrel.
Yeah, it sounds more aggressive than the last one.
As night settles in, harsh scratching and heavy banging erupt from inside a wooden wall. The noise grows louder and more aggressive. Neither Heidi nor her mother can determine what is inside, leaving the situation unresolved. Some viewers point to animals, failing insulation, or rodents within the walls. Reasonable explanations for an aging farmhouse. But if it was only animals, why did the sounds feel intentional there? On November 15th, 2025, Luke from the YouTube channel Outdoor Boys is left alone along a remote section of Alaska's Bering Sea coast. Known for survival skills and wilderness education, the channel follows Luke into harsh environments. This journey carries a grim objective: locating a dead walrus washed ashore after a storm before bears or the tide reach it. Out there, isolation feels like a warning.
Look at this. See, there's the fresh grizzly bear tracks, and you can tell that there's layers of old prints underneath that. Grizzly bears like to walk up and down the same trails. I definitely don't want to leave my gear on this trail or I'm going to have bear problems. I got off the grizzly bear trail and I can see another trail going right through here. You can see here the hoof prints. These are all caribou tracks. I've got about 3.5 miles to go down that beach to get to the walrus carcass. Most of my gear right here and hope the bears don't find it before I get back.
While hiking the shoreline, Luke spots fresh grizzly bear tracks stamped into the wet sand. They are large, distinct, and recent. The moment feels unsettling because it confirms the area is active, and whatever made them may be nearby.
That body is going to be a long and disgusting process, so I think I'm going to have myself some lunch before I get started. I'll be honest, it doesn't smell very good where I'm sitting, and once it's going to get much, much worse. So I brought along some earplugs. It may look ridiculous, but it's worth it. I don't know. This may seem like overkill, but anything that gets rotten walrus on it will not be allowed back into my house. Oh, I need to adjust my nose plugs. Oh, that was bad. That was the worst smell I've ever smelled in my life. Oh. Well, I got through the skin, and now I'm just trying to figure out where the walrus's neck is. And where the head ends and the body begins is not exactly obvious. So I'm having to cut away pieces and kind of search around, and it's, I nicked my glove. Gotta make sure my finger's okay. I'm not sure if he even went all the way through the skin. It's really common for walruses to have trichinosis, and I don't want to catch any weird diseases. Well, I spent about an hour cutting. Sit down with the knife and cut off as many bits of flesh as I can. And I don't care how ridiculous these nose plugs look, they're an absolute lifesaver. That is noticeably heavier. But now that I've got my walrus head, I've got to hold on to it. I guess I'm technically trolling for bears at this point. A little break, a little drink, a little snack. Let's do another quarter mile or two. Oh, my back. Oh. But if I keep taking breaks, I think I can save my back. Tell you, this is exhausting, but what a beautiful day to be exhausted. And not being mauled by a bear is just a real cherry on top. I'm really anxious to see if any animals messed with my stuff. Probably gonna be okay. Looks like my gear's all here. Yay, I am tired. Oh, there's a hole in the bag and the walrus head just leaked goo all over the sled. I got maybe an hour before it gets really dark, so I'm gonna try to gather firewood. Tell you what, firewood's a lot lighter than walrus heads.
Farther down the beach, Luke discovers the walrus. The enormous body is swollen and decaying. He works beside it, cutting through flesh while battling the overpowering stench. The scene is disturbing, not for what he is doing, but where. An open coastline where the smell of death can travel for miles.
The fire doesn't need to be big and scary. It doesn't need to last all night. Sending smoke downwind the same direction as that walrus smell. So any bear that picks up the smell of the walrus will also know there's a human here. For most animals around, I'm seeing the last little bit of the sun disappear over the horizon. All right, guys, I'm going to sleep. I'll see you in the morning. I'm going to bed.
As daylight fades, Luke drags the severed walrus head back toward camp, openly describing it as trolling for bears. Every step leaves a trail of blood and scent, advertising his position in grisly territory as darkness closes in. Night settles over the camp. Luke retreats into his tent as mosquitoes swarm the mesh, drawn by warmth and odor. The beach falls silent. With predators unseen and nowhere to go, he forces himself to sleep, knowing rest is the only way to continue. Luke never encounters a bear on camera. Yet with fresh tracks and a scent trail stretching for miles, the question remains: did nothing follow him, or did something simply choose to remain unseen? On June 17, 2022, Bahadur camps alone beside a forest lake as a violent storm moves in. The footage comes from Tar Wilderness, Bahadur Kulich, a channel known for silent, realistic solo camping. There is no narration, only rain, thunder, and a night that refuses to settle. He secures his tent close to the water as rainfall intensifies, aware that once the storm reaches its peak, leaving will no longer be possible. The setting feels exposed, with an open lake, surrounding trees, and no solid shelter anywhere nearby. Inside the tent, he lights a small stove and seals himself inside. Rain and thunder pound the fabric just inches from his face. What makes the moment unsettling is not what he sees, but what he hears, and how fragile the barrier truly is. As water begins flowing near the tent, he remains motionless, conserving energy. With no safer alternative, he lies down and forces himself to rest, waiting for the storm to finally pass. Viewers describe the fear as subtle. Nothing attacks, yet constant weather pressure creates real psychological stress. But would it feel the same alone inside that tent? YouTuber Luke Rock and his team returned to one of the most unsettling locations they had ever investigated, an abandoned hospital with a deeply troubling past. The building had once served as a tuberculosis sanatorium, later became a psychiatric hospital, and was eventually used as a rehabilitation center, each chapter adding to its emotional and paranormal weight. From the moment they arrived, Luke acknowledged the dangers involved, both physical and mental, especially when entering a place like this after dark.
Dude, I don't even want to look into the rooms. Look at the lights are on in this hallway. Like, that's freaking crazy. Dude, whoa. When I was in high school, I used to come down here. What is up, guys? We are in this crazy hospital again. Guys, it is so freaking scary here at nighttime. I don't even know how to explain it. It's crazy. For one, like, there's like a really good chance that there's somebody else in here with us, because the last time I was here, we found the tent here. You just heard something? And it looked like somebody was sleeping here. So, and the very first time that I was here, I actually heard somebody in here drilling. I'm bumping into stuff. Guys, the very first time I was in here, I actually heard somebody like drilling and probably ripping stuff apart. But the craziest part was actually seeing the tent, like somebody's camping out in here. Yo, is that a moaning sound? Was that a car? Guys, we're keeping the lights down for now. We don't want to be too obvious here. Dude, this is the creepiest hallway. This is like going through Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, no joke. We just came from that way. I'm literally shaking in my boots. I'm scared a little bit. This is crazy. I've done some stupid stuff. This has got to be right up there with some of the stupidest. Guys, this was an old hospital. The electricity's still on. It's like so creepy.
I want to see that room with the one.
Oh, from my other video?
Their exploration began around 3 a.m. as they stepped into the rotting hallways of the hospital. Luke described how oppressive the atmosphere felt at night, particularly because on earlier visits, he had found signs that someone might have been living inside, including a tent set up within the building. Even more disturbing, he recalled once hearing power tools running somewhere deep in the corridors. As they pushed farther inside, their flashlights struggled against the thick darkness, and the tension steadily increased. Although the hospital had been abandoned for years, parts of its electrical system still worked. Lights flickered on their own, phones produced dial tones, and devices behaved in ways that made no sense. Throughout the investigation, Luke conducted multiple spirit box sessions. The results were deeply unsettling, with EVPs coming through clearly and eerily. At one point, he was convinced someone was standing outside the room, and moments later the camera suddenly refused to focus.
Gordon! Guys, my camera was just freaking off. We're getting crazy EVPs in here. It just said 3, right? Just like clear. Who's here with us? What is your name?
To investigate.
What was this hospital used for? Can you tell us what they did in this hospital?
We get.
Oh, dude, there's somebody out there. Yo, I definitely heard somebody out there. You want to keep going? Yeah. But I'm freaked out. I swear. Go ahead, open the door. Huh?
What?
Open the door. Don't tell me we're locked in here. Oh my god. What idiots, dude. That was really not smart of us. Guys, we almost locked ourselves into this place. Did you say hospital beds?
Yeah, across the nuts.
My camera will not focus. Dude, I wonder what it was that I...
He also checked a door that had been locked on previous visits, only to find it inexplicably standing open. In a collapsing restroom, they made a discovery that pushed the situation into truly disturbing territory, what appeared to be human teeth sitting inside an old sink. Some showed cavities and metal fillings, suggesting they had once belonged to real people. After that, technical problems intensified.
Guys, oh, I can't see nothing. Why can't I see nothing? There's the blue light. Guys, those look like human freaking teeth. Those are human teeth, dude.
Yeah, I mean...
Turn the light on. Hold on. Yeah, they got freaking cavities in them. Well, I mean, anything could have a cavity, but dude, those are filled cavities.
They look old.
Whose teeth are these?
I don't know. That's weird.
Are you kidding me? That is nasty. Just sitting in the sink.
Batteries drained at alarming speeds, walkie-talkies activated on their own, and unexplained whispers and footsteps followed them across the upper floors. Even as they tried to leave, the sounds continued. Luke heard one final loud movement echo down a hallway, reinforcing their fear that they were not alone. Viewers have since debated whether the building is occupied by squatters or something far more difficult to explain. The teeth, working electronics, and direct EVPs all suggest a powerful presence still lingering there. Some believe it stems from the hospital's traumatic history, while others suspect intelligent hauntings remain active inside. Was someone hiding there, trying to stay unseen? Or does the hospital still resonate with the voices and energy of those who once lived and suffered within its walls? Let us know what you think in the comments. Would you dare walk those halls after dark? In March 2023, YouTubers Nikolai and Brian recorded one of the most harrowing moments of their van life journey while traveling through Oklahoma. Known for sharing calm travel vlogs and scenic stops across the country, this particular upload took a frightening turn when they unexpectedly found themselves in the path of a violent storm. Their day began without incident as they parked their van near a quiet lake, expecting nothing more than a relaxed afternoon. After checking their phones, however, they realized severe storm warnings had been issued. The area was now under a tornado watch, with high wind alerts escalating quickly. Locals appeared unconcerned. Some continued walking around the lot casually, but Nikolai and Brian, unfamiliar with tornado-prone regions, grew uneasy. With no better option,
but there's a loud tornado thing going. I don't know what we're supposed to do.
Why don't you just come down with me? Here comes the hail. There's a person running. I feel terrible. It's a girl. Is she okay? Y'all, there is a man who went into the convenience store and literally I thought he was going in for shelter. Look at that man. He's a freaking... It is not pleasant out there. We're not used to this, y'all, so this is a little scary.
We're just gonna wait it out. We're gonna be okay.
The worst of the storm is coming through, so it's just a little scary to see it coming and then it arriving. I don't know how y'all deal with this all the time. I really do not. The winds are crazy. I've never experienced winds like this.
We don't want them to just stop and pick up again. That means you're in like an eye of a storm.
they chose to stay inside their van and brace for the worst. As dark clouds gathered overhead, the wind strengthened. Soon, emergency sirens filled the air. At one point, Nikolai noticed a young woman running for cover, while another man walked into a nearby store as if nothing unusual was happening. With limited cell service, the pair relied on updates from Brian's father, who followed live news coverage from afar. Then, the storm hit. They were in Norman, Oklahoma, when the worst arrived. Wind speeds exceeded 70 miles per hour. Their van shook violently. Power lines snapped in the distance, debris filled the air, and rooftops were ripped away. It felt like a scene pulled from a disaster film. After the storm passed, news reports revealed the damage. Neighborhoods in Norman and nearby towns were devastated. Homes lost entire upper floors, windows were shattered, and some buildings were completely gutted. Remarkably, Nikolai, Brian, and their van were unharmed. Though physically safe, they were shaken by how close they came to disaster. As the skies cleared, they cautiously returned to their campsite near Lake Thunderbird. While the van had protected them during the storm, the lingering sense of what could have happened was hard to shake. Wanting to process the experience and move on, they later stopped at a quirky roadside soda shop along Route 66. Inside, they laughed at strange drink names and enjoyed a rare moment of relief. The storm served as a powerful reminder of nature's unpredictability, especially for those unaccustomed to tornado country. Some viewers suggested the pair consider upgrading their weather equipment or installing a satellite alert system in the van, something that could deliver faster warnings in areas with poor reception. Had the tornado shifted even slightly, their van might not have survived. It's a chilling thought, how thin the line can be between safety and catastrophe. What would you have done in their place? Would you stay in the van or try to reach shelter on foot? This next story brings us into one of the most disturbing locations ever featured on the YouTube channel Cursed Urban, hosted by Dan. In this investigation, filmed deep inside what Dan's viewers have come to know as Skinwalker Forest.
The last time I was at this part of the forest, something threw a stick at me from the darkness. I will link that video down in the description of when that happened, but it was crazy. I was walking down
He returns to an area connected to a previous encounter, one where an unseen force once hurled a stick at him from the darkness. That experience left a lasting impression, and now, after months away, he is back to see whether the forest still carries the same unsettling presence. From the very beginning, something feels wrong. The trail, once rough and heavily overgrown, now looks strangely maintained. The ground appears mulched, the path easier to follow. Dan immediately notices the difference and points out that it was never like this before. As he moves deeper into the woods under cover of night,
to the right. That's her gunshots. Dude, that's gunshots over there. That's gunshots for sure right over there.
The tension steadily builds. The silence is suddenly broken by what sounds like multiple gunshots echoing from somewhere within the forest, followed by a distant, chilling scream. Dan attempts to track the source but finds nothing concrete, only darkness and a growing sense of unease. Throughout the night, he relies on several paranormal tools, including Spirit Talker, which begins producing disturbing messages. Phrases referencing blood, shadowy realms, and doppelgangers appear on screen. Then comes a particularly chilling line suggesting that he should not remain there. Whether it was intended as a warning or a threat, Dan cannot say. The investigation eventually leads him onto private land owned by his friend Todd, whose property borders the forest. Todd has previously granted Dan full permission to camp and explore the area. Dan explains that the land has experienced unexplained activity in the past, but tonight the behavior feels inconsistent and unpredictable. When Dan switches to a different communication app, the interaction noticeably drops. Short phrases appear without any continuation. This sudden lack of response makes him wonder whether the forest is intentionally playing with him. Has his long absence changed something? Did the area grow accustomed to him before, only to now treat him like an intruder again? Eventually, the atmosphere shifts once more. Spirit communication slows, then stops entirely. Dan considers whether whatever was present lost interest, or if it simply chose to remain silent, watching from the darkness. Later in the night, the most alarming messages appear. They contain cryptic references to rituals and something described as a shuffle game, terms unfamiliar to Dan. Spirit Talker repeatedly warns against performing rituals, eerily aligning with the earlier scream and gunshots, casting a heavy shadow over the entire investigation. As exhaustion sets in, Dan retreats to his tent, planning to rest before continuing at first light. When morning arrives, everything is silent. Spirit Talker, the necrometer, and the spirit box produce nothing. No voices, no messages, just stillness. Dan's investigation offers a striking look at the forest's unpredictability. Early hostility, gunshots, warnings, and strange messages fades into total silence. Was the forest testing him? Did his absence alter how the entities responded? The recurring references to rituals hint at something deeper, possibly tied to local folklore or unseen forces still active within the woods. What do you think caused the forest to go silent? Acceptance, a warning, or something far more sinister? Have you ever experienced a place that felt aware of you? Share your theories in the comments. That's it for tonight. Which moment creeped you out the most? Drop it in the comments. Have your own story? Share it with us, and stay tuned. The next one is even darker.